Hey there, this is Kat Ramirez, CEO and founder of Advertise and hashtag Social Buzz. Today, my guest actually showed up. Yay! So, we're going to talk about LinkedIn strategies and some things that you should be doing if you're not already doing to really use the power of LinkedIn. And let me bring on my guest, Joe Apfelbaum. Am I saying it right, Joe?
You're saying it right, Joe Apfelbaum. That's right.
He gave me a 101 tutorial on how to say his last name is 3 syllables. So I think that's pretty cool, though.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me on the program. Really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Now you
So
are. Go ahead.
So when you go live, I have a question for you. When we're on live right now,
Yeah.
is it on your profile under posts or is it in all activity?
It is. It should be on my profile in my activity or post.
I don't see it under posts. I see it in all activity, but I don't see it in posts. So it's just interesting to see that it's an actual post, but
well, now
LinkedIn
well, here's the thing. It's a delayed response because it just popped up on mine now. LinkedIn, it's a delayed response. On Facebook, it's like boom, boom, boom. You know what I mean? And on you, because we're on 5 platforms, so we're on LinkedIn, 3 Facebook pages, and then YouTube. So if you ever had an audience, this is your audience.
That's awesome. I see it now. I see there are 9 people watching live.
Awesome. Okay, so before we get into all the nitty gritty, oh look, Martin said, "Good question." I love that. He asked a question. Thanks for watching, Martin. Tell us about yourself and your company. You have Ajax Union, is that correct?
Yeah, so Ajax Union is a B2B digital marketing agency based in Brooklyn.
You might want to scoot over a little because you're cutting out the screen. Oh, there you go.
Okay, is this a little better?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Ajax Union is a B2B digital marketing agency based in Brooklyn, and we build funnels for companies. So if you have a B2B business, the people that come to your websites are typically not ready to buy right now, and you have to nurture those leads from the top of the funnel to the bottom line. And we do that by creating education-based marketing, lead magnets, email automations, landing pages. So we absolutely love helping B2B companies be able to nurture leads. And that's something that we specialize in. And what I realized is that in the B2B space, LinkedIn is the #1 platform to generate leads. And lots of people are kind of like ignoring it, going to Instagram, Facebook. But the reality is LinkedIn is the #1 most used social media platform to generate qualified leads. And so we utilize it for our clients. And that's essentially the idea. That's what we're up to.
Awesome. And then in my research about you, Joe, I found out that you lost like 80 pounds.
I lost 95 pounds.
Oh, I'm sorry. Wait.
Yeah, no worries. I lost 95
that's a lot of weight. So can you give me a little background behind that? And
yeah, so I wrote a book called High Energy Secrets. I was super overweight and I had to learn, okay, so how do I lose weight? What do I need to do to lose weight? I always thought I had big bones. And so my goal was to lose the weight and keep it off, because I don't like doing things where you kind of do it and then you have to redo it and then you have to redo it. I think that if you're trying to do the same thing over and over and over and you don't change what you're doing and you expect different results, then you're basically cray-cray. So I didn't want to be cray-cray. So I said, you know what, let me try to figure out what's going on. So I first had to get into my mind. I had to get the right mindset to say, okay, this is a long-term strategy. This is a lifestyle change. This is not something that you have to just randomly do, that you have to figure out what's going on. So I had to rewire my habits. And I basically had to figure out, #1 is, what is the food that I'm eating? What am I drinking? What type of exercises am I doing? And then I basically engineered those habits into my life. And now it kind of happens automatically. I used to drink lots of orange juice. Now I'm just drinking water.
Okay.
Yeah, so I wrote a book called High Energy Secrets, How I Lost 95 Pounds and Kept It Off. And thankfully, I was able to keep it off and inspire many people to also lose the weight and keep it off. And I'll put a link to the book in the comments over here.
Awesome. Now, was you losing weight, was that just a food dietary change, or was that also exercise? I mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah. let me just write this secrets book. Yeah. So for me, it was more about, number one is understanding your mind, because your mind is going to control everything. It's going to control your choices and what you do. And I needed to understand, okay, so I have a limited amount of willpower every single day. And so I need to figure out, okay, what are the specific steps that I need to take in order for me to be able to be successful at losing weight and keeping it off. So number one is I had to figure out, okay, what am I drinking before eating? Because a lot of people focus on eating. But if you don't drink enough water, you're going to be dehydrated. And what's going to end up happening is you're just going to be stuck and you're never going to be able to lose the weight. So for me, I had to learn, okay, so I have to start drinking enough water. That's number one, the most important thing. The second thing I needed to learn how to do was understand that not all calories are created equal. So understanding not just eating proportions and portions, but making sure I understand how my insulin levels affect my metabolism and all that type of stuff. So I had to get the diet thing. And then I had to learn how to suppress my appetite by exercising. Yeah. And by taking the right electrolytes and understanding like all this advanced stuff that I write a lot about in my book. And then once I realized all that, I was like, oh my God, a lot of it also has to do with emotions. And so, sometimes we binge eat and we do emotional eating and all that stuff. So once you start becoming happy with who you are, accepting your body, setting specific goals, getting accountability, it's 90% diet, but because we are what we eat at the end of the day. I had to learn how to fast. Now I do intermittent fasting all the time. So it's not so much about what you eat, but it's about what you don't eat. So that's also part of it.
Gotcha. Wow, that's incredible. That's awesome. Okay, let's get to the nitty gritty, because you pointed out some things that you posed a question to people, and it was like, what are you doing in the first 15, 30, 60 minutes of your day on LinkedIn?
Yeah, so people don't realize that there are two types of time. There's reactive time, and then there's proactive time. So most of the day, most of our life, we're reacting to stuff. We have a stimulus and there's an effect, and a stimulus and an effect, a stimulus and an effect. So what ends up happening is we end up getting a message on LinkedIn, right? I sent you a message today on LinkedIn, and then you reply to the message. You end up getting a notification. You end up replying to the notification. That's reactive. You go on the feed, that's reactive. What I want to tell people is that there are very specific activities that you could be doing each day proactively. And if you don't have a checklist for those activities, you're going to end up just reacting your whole day, and your whole day is going to be shot. So there are things that are, have you ever read a book called The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People? Okay. Yep. So Stephen Covey talks about the difference between being proactive and reactive. And he has something called the important versus urgent quadrants. There's 4 quadrants. There are things that are important and urgent, and then there are things that are not important and not urgent. And so what I would love people to know, to ask them, what are some things that you can do on LinkedIn that are not important and that are not urgent? Like, I'm curious to know in the comments, what is not important and not urgent? And if you're watching this, what you'll realize is that going on the feed is not urgent, right? You don't have to be on the feed. Right. And most of the stuff that happens in the feed is really not important. I mean, there's ads, not important. There's a bunch of crap that you don't like, you're just scrolling past it. It's not important. So what you want to do is, instead of focusing on the things that are not urgent and that are not important, or the things that are urgent but not important, kind of like that spammer that spams you and then you get all frustrated and say, okay, I'm going to write a whole response telling the person not to spam me, and like whatever. You get busy with the stuff that are urgent because it's right in your face but are not important. Or you get busy with the stuff that are urgent and important, like a prospect or a lead or whatever it is, but then you forget the other quadrant, which is the quadrant of things that are important, that are very important, but they're not urgent right now. The investments that you need to make into LinkedIn to get long-term success. So if you want long-term success on LinkedIn, what you have to realize is that not all activities created equal. All humans are created equal, but not all activities are created equal. And so my question to you is, what do you want to achieve from LinkedIn? Before you create a strategy to do what's important and not urgent, you first have to ask yourself what you want. So for example, if you want more visibility on LinkedIn, right? You have 44,000 people that are following you right now. If you want more visibility on LinkedIn, you could have 44,000 followers, but if you're not posting every day, If you're not posting something of value, you're not going to get the exposure. Just because you have followers, it doesn't mean you automatically get exposure. You also have to be posting. So if I ask most people, if I take a look at most people, how often are they posting? I'm curious to know. In the comments below, how often do you post? Kat, feel free to leave a comment on your own post if you have it open. But for me, I post 5 to 10 times, I would say 3 to 10 times each day. How often do you post?
Right. Yep.
So that's for visibility. The reason why you want to be posting is for visibility. The reason why you want to be engaging on LinkedIn, that's the second thing I always tell people to do that you can do, is because you want credibility. You want to build trust with people. And most people are not liking, they're not commenting, they're not actually engaging. And I see we have over 17 comments right now in this post right now, which is amazing, by the way. You guys are awesome that you're leaving so many comments. But my goal is to spend a few minutes engaging every single day. That means liking, commenting, responding to comments, and so on. And then the third thing is if you want more, if you want to get people on the phone, right? And not everybody wants to get people on the phone, but if you want to get people on the phone, also known as outreach, right? You have to reach out. The best way to get people on the phone is using direct messages. You can't expect to put a post up on LinkedIn and suddenly everyone's going to start calling you. What you got to do is, you got to reach out to people. So they say, there's a famous saying, it's if you build it, they will come. I built it. Nobody came. You built it. No one's coming. You got to market it, right? You got to market it. You can't build it and it will come. You got to market it. And so if you want to be successful, you have to market yourself on LinkedIn, which means doing DMs the right way. Now, I have a question for everybody watching right now. My question to you is, how do you feel when somebody DMs you a sales message on LinkedIn? How do you feel? You can put an emoji if you want. You can make a noise. How do you feel, Kat? How do you feel when somebody sends you a sales message on LinkedIn DM?
I can tell when they're programmed because they didn't look at my profile, and they'll tell me something like, I can help you, get out of your shell. If you looked at my post, you'll know I'm totally out of my shell.
Yeah. And what's crazy is that people are just kind of spraying and praying. That's the saying. The saying is spraying and praying. But what I always tell people to do is, if you want to be spraying and praying, you could be spraying and praying, but don't be spraying and praying sales messages, because that's like vomiting all over everybody. Instead, what you want to do is you want to do greeting, feeding, and meeting. That's the process we teach in our course. We have a course called Evergreen. And in our course, we teach people how to be greeting, feeding, and meeting. And the reason that's important is because you first have to build rapport with somebody before you try to sell them anything, before you try to, and you don't never even have to sell. People will automatically buy something if it's a valuable thing, right? If it's something that's valuable, people will buy something. So I'm going to drop into the chat right now, and everybody that sees this in the chat, give it a like so that it moves up to the top. I just dropped into the chat a link to our most recent direct messaging webinar replay. So it's a free webinar that you can watch where I walk you through the greeting, feeding, and meeting system, and I actually give you guys scripts of what you could use. So go ahead and give a like to that comment so you guys can see that. And by the way, it's important to understand how to like comments, because liking comments will send the comment to the top of the comment list in general. So most people don't understand that you have to be messaging people in order to get on the phone. But messaging is proactive. Having a list of your connections and messaging them is super proactive. And greeting, feeding, and meeting will allow you to be more proactive that way. So those are 3 things that you can do each day, even if you just have 15 minutes a day. I can give you a bunch of more things if you want. But the idea is doing those 3 things well will allow you to be proactive and start getting more business or influence or credibility, depending on your goal.
Okay. Can I ask you a question now?
Sure.
Okay. So for the person who doesn't now post, what should they be posting? Because they've never posted.
Okay. So if people never post, if you've never posted on LinkedIn before and you don't post, there are lots of different things that you could be posting on LinkedIn. There's videos, there's images, there's quotes, there's lots of different, and also there's different types of posts. So we teach 6 different types of posts that you could be posting on LinkedIn inside our course. We have an Evergreen LinkedIn Foundations course. We teach you the 6 different types of posts. We even teach you the structure of a post, how to start it, the middle, the end, the call to action, how to include hashtags, all the stuff. But what I tell people is Think about your audience. Who is your audience? What do they want to hear? Kat, you know your audience. You're a sales and marketing expert. You're a LinkedIn influencer. You're a speaker, podcaster, veteran. You know what your audience wants to hear, and you're consistently sharing that stuff. That's why when you share something, when you post something like the Lex Connect thing that you posted 3 days ago, you get 215 likes and 39 comments on that, even though you only had 700 views on the video. That means you have a really engaged audience. I know lots of people that get 100,000 views, but they get 1 like. So, or they get 5 likes. They don't get anything. So what I would suggest is that you build a real relationship with people by understanding, A, what are they looking for? What do they want? You clearly know what people want. So even if you only have 700 people view something, you're still going to get tons and tons and tons of likes, which is amazing. That's a real influencer. You don't need to have 1 million followers to be an influencer. Even if you only have 1,000 followers, but you get dozens of people to like and comment on stuff, that's a person that really has influence. So what I would say is get out of your fear and just start sharing your insights, share your expertise. You don't have to be an expert to share the questions that people ask you and the answers that you have, and then getting feedback from other people. See, I'm a LinkedIn expert. I'm a strategist. I recently shared a post that said, what are the top technologies to use for LinkedIn? And I tagged 30 other LinkedIn experts. And that was an amazing post. I got thousands of people to view it and dozens of people to like and comment and engage and saying, oh my God, this is such a valuable post, because I shared a bunch of tips in the comments as well, but the other people shared lots and lots of comments. So you want to crowdsource information, and that's one way for you. Even if you don't have a lot of ideas of what you want to share, you can ask questions, you can post interesting videos that you've seen, you can share articles from other people, you can curate articles, you can create articles, but if you don't have the ability to create articles or the patience, you can curate other people's articles and just share them on LinkedIn. Realize that LinkedIn is a private network. So when you're sharing, you're not sharing to the entire world. Google doesn't see your posts. It's just to your connections and their connections.
Yeah. And then, so for the person that's, I'm really, really good about being proactive. And I love the fact that you said people need to direct message people. And there are probably a lot of people underutilizing that mode of LinkedIn. What would you say, because they have a fear, what are they going to say to people? One, and then how many people are they supposed to reach out to?
It depends on how many calls they want to have, right? So how many calls do you want to have a day?
Are you asking me, or are you?
I'm asking you, like, what's an amount of calls that you would say you want to have each day?
I mean, I usually have a full day, so I probably have between 4 to 5 calls a day.
Excellent. So in the comments below, tell me how many calls would you like to have a day in the comments below. And the reason I'm telling you to comment is because I want you to get used to engaging. So even if one person comments, tell me how many calls do you write? I would like to have 5 calls a day, right? So I'm going to write that in the comments right now. I would like to have 5 calls a day. I would like to have 5 calls each day. Now, if you want to have 5 calls each day, what is your rate of return? What is your return rate, your response rate from the people, or your call rate from the people that you message? If you have a 5% message to call scheduling rate, right, 5%. So in order to get 5 people, you would need to message 100 people that day. And most people, if I say, how many people did you message? They say 3, 5, 7, 18. They don't say 100. So they expect to get on the phone with 5 people during the day, but they only messaged 5 people and none of them responded, and they wonder why they're not generating any revenue.
Right.
So that's the idea. There's a ratio, and for everyone it's a different ratio. The more you customize the message, the more you spend time on the message, the more your ratio will increase. The more, if you know if the person's an active person on LinkedIn and they're actually checking their LinkedIn, the more relevant it is, the more you understand who you're targeting. If I'm talking to real estate agents and I have a real estate agent specific message, they're much more likely to respond to that message than if I just have a generic message going out to a generic audience.
Right, right. Okay, so somebody had a question for you. I don't know if you saw that. What's your take on political postings?
I think, when I became a certified Google trainer 7 years ago and Google hired me, they trained me and they said there are 3 things you should never talk about. Religion. Another thing was politics. They said you should not talk about politics ever. And for me, it all depends on your own nerve, how much nerve you have. If you want to get people, if you want to get attention, talking about religion and politics is something that will get you a lot of attention. It might get you a lot of hate as well, because people are super passionate about politician. Go ahead and write "I love Trump" and on LinkedIn or Facebook or anywhere, and say all you Trump haters can go to hell. Look what would happen. What do you think would happen? What if you say I hate Trump? All you Trump lovers can go to hell. What will end up happening is whether you love him or hate him or whatever it is, you're going to get reactions from people, like visceral reactions. People will go crazy on that post. Whether you love him or hate him, it doesn't matter. People will go crazy. So whatever your policy is, whatever your own political policy is, sometimes it could impact if people do business with you or not. You may say anyone that doesn't believe what I believe in politically should not be doing business with me. And that's okay. If that's what you believe, then go ahead, be political. If you want to take a more conservative approach, maybe you should shy away from talking about politics. Instead, talk about inspiration. Talk about things that are related to your business, things that are interesting to you, that excite you, and so on.
Yeah, I think I would agree. I think I see more of the political jargon on like Facebook or Twitter. And I think people on LinkedIn are a little more polished and poised, and they refrain from that. At least what I have come across. I'm sure there probably are people that talk about politics and religion on LinkedIn. I just don't come across them.
Yeah, no, and it depends on who you're following. I mean, you curate your following, so you have certain people that are interested in you because you're a bubbly, happy person. You're not going to be a person that's kind of like all on the edge talking about, certain things. So if you have that, if you're in that circle of conversation, there are 650 million members. I'm sure there are pockets of people that are fighting and arguing about politics on LinkedIn. They're just not in my circle. I'll block somebody who's super negative to me. Some people say, oh, I love negative people. That's how I get tons of followers, because that negative person ends up creating a whole, like a whole craziness. But I just didn't have patience for it. I had some people from the UK that were really hating on my posts. I just blocked them all and moved on. Did it affect my engagement? Yes. But my goal is not to go viral. Kat, my goal is not to go viral. I don't want to go viral. I want 1,000 people to see me 1,000 times a year.
Right. So this is a question for me that I have for you. And I don't know if you have noticed this, and I have asked other people who use LinkedIn heavily. This question is, I have noticed since the pandemic, the algorithm in LinkedIn has changed a lot, because a lot of the people I used to follow, I don't see their posts anymore. And it's really ironic. And I even have reached out to some of those people, and I'm like, are you doing something differently? Because I haven't seen like your stuff. And I personally think it's a little bit of LinkedIn's algorithm has changed a bit. And maybe it has gone in a tailspin because of the heavy usage. I don't know.
Yeah, there's a lot more usage going on now. There's also a lot more posts coming up on LinkedIn because more people have time and more marketers want to try to capture everyone's attention. So my suggestion to you, Kat, is to make a list of people that you actually want to follow and put it into a spreadsheet or into bookmarks, and then go to their post directly. So I'm looking at your post directly. The LinkedIn URL is linkedin.com/in/Catherine Ramirez/details/recent-activity/shares. I will bookmark that. And then whenever I want to check your post, instead of being on the feed, I can be proactive, pull up your post, look at your last 10 posts, comment and like on stuff, and move on. So that's what I would recommend people start doing now. If you want to be proactive, don't rely on the feed to send you people stuff. Instead, go to their post directly, and you're going to start building more credibility with those people. Yeah, I have my top 100 people that I like looking at their posts. I put it into folders inside my bookmarks, and boom, I'm ready to go.
Right. And I love that. That's a great suggestion. And I'm glad you said that. And I'm glad you gave detailed instructions, because I don't want anybody to think that the person they're following went away. You know what I mean? Like they're not posting or anything. You just have to really make sure. And I love the suggestion that you're bookmarking these people and you go to their feed, because especially if you like the information they're sharing and you're really ingesting it,
Yeah, that's really important.
Right.
All right. Well, I appreciate you having me on the show. This was really, really awesome.
Absolutely. How do people get a hold of you?
So the best way to get a hold of me is to go to joelinkedin.com, click on my profile, and read my About section, and let me know that you read my About section. That's the best way to get a hold of me. I shared a link to a recent webinar replay in the comments below, so go ahead and check that out. joelinkedin.com. Click on right on top of the feature, there's About, a little bit higher. Here's an about section. Yep, just to drop high right there. Click on more, see more, next to the about in bottom right corner of the about. Yep, that shows you everything about me. My extended LinkedIn summary, my most recent webinar replay, how to speak to me, the things that I talk about, my podcast, everything that's there, and also my recent posts. So I highly recommend you check that out. And of course, if you ever have any questions, you could always email me. All my information is right on my LinkedIn profile. Thank you so much for having me here. Really appreciate that, Kat. This has been great.
Absolutely. And I hope you have a great day.
All right. Looking forward to speaking to you again soon. And if you guys have additional questions, post them in the comments, because I'm going to be reviewing these comments and I'm going to be answering your questions. I'm super engaged on LinkedIn. I just crossed over 30,000 followers, so congrats to me. Yay.
That's a lot of work.
Yeah, it is a lot of work, but I'm excited about that. My next milestone is 40,000 followers. But the key is to have engaged followers. Just like you, Kat, I want to make sure that my followers are engaged. So when I post something, I don't need millions of people to see it. I need the right people to see it. So hopefully you guys got takeaways. If you did get some takeaways, go ahead and post them in the comments below so other people can see what your takeaways are. And as you can see, I'm constantly doing call to action. I'm telling you what to do, right? I want you to learn from this, to do this yourself. Whoever's watching this, in your posts, in your videos, tell people what to do. If you look at my recent posts on LinkedIn, I highly recommend you guys go look. I did a test yesterday. One post I wrote, if you see this in the feed, give it a like. And the other post I said, if you see this in the feed, leave a comment with the word boom, letting me know that you saw it. And look at the difference. They have close to the same amount of views, but the comment one got about 10 to 20% more views, which is crazy. That means a comment is worth more than a like.
Yeah. Okay, awesome. Thank you so much. People have asked about your link. I'll drop his link in all the posts, just if anybody is looking to connect with Joe. Thank you so much, Joe. I appreciate it.
Boom. I'll see you at the next one. Thank you.
Everybody have a great day. Thank you so much for joining. Leave a comment again. And if you have any questions for Joe, he will answer them after the fact. And I do appreciate everybody for watching and tuning in. We do have a good lineup. So who do I have coming up? I know I have another guest speaker coming up this week. So just tune in and I'll post who the next speaker is, because I have a couple great speakers coming up. And if you have any questions, drop me a line. If someone that you know should be watching this, please tag them and drop their name in the comments so that they can get a hold of this. And thank you so much for following. Thank you so much for the support. And thank you so much for watching. Hope you're having a great day. Drink lots of water, as Joe said, and make sure that you stay home, stay safe, and stay positive. I know that our lockdown is open, but regardless, you still have to be safe when you're out and about. And definitely connect with me on social media. I am on every platform there is out there. And if you have anything that you need help with, feel free to reach out to me. I am so accessible. And at the end of the day, you got this. And until next time, I will talk to you then. Have a great day. Thanks.